Welcome to Casual Q&A with Christine May. That's me. Hello. It's been a long time since we've talked. A lot of stuff in my life has changed, so I figured it's time for a Q&A catch-up. And it's probably going to be more casual than it has been in a while because I find it hard to talk about personal stuff on camera. And I feel like there's a lot of personal stuff that I just need to update you on. So by far the question I've been getting the most has been, why did you move? Why are you moving? The answer to that is long and complicated. John and I moved in together last January, and we immediately knew that that apartment wasn't somewhere we wanted to be for a long time. Right off the bat, we were like, we're moving as soon as the lease is up. That was 2020, and 2020 was a hard year for all of us, for the entire world. It kind of went from 0 to 100 in terms of living together. John and I were together for a month in that apartment before we were locked down, and then we were together 24/7, every day, all day. That kind of pressure cooker will really end up highlighting any cracks in the foundation of a relationship. By July, like, I was starting to feel that this might not work, and something that I was so sure about before, that vision for our future was kind of falling apart before my eyes. And then Folklore came out at the end of July, and it really hit me so hard because it was like exactly what I was going through. Like, the emotions in that album just struck so many chords with these mental struggles that I was dealing with in terms of like what I thought was gonna be our future and what feels like is building. I spent the rest of the year trying to work on all those different cracks that were coming up. Like, I was trying to like fix it. I was trying to find a way to mend the cracks. But John was on a different page than I was, and it was really just honestly devastating. We loved each other, but it's so hard to explain. After a long time of trying to like work that through, in January I kind of voiced where I was in a more clear, straightforward way, and then we tried to make it work, and then it wasn't working. And then we'd have another discussion and try to make it work, and then it wasn't working. And it was just like we were trapped in this breakup cycle where we couldn't really break up because we were living together during COVID. We couldn't take any space away from each other. Even when we did eventually break up, we were living together, and it was so much more complicated. So we're broken up now. We were in this really toxic environment where we're still living together, fresh off of a breakup, over and over and over again, because we're living together. And like, it really presents the option of like, can we make this work? And then it wouldn't work, and we're still living together. My book was coming out. I couldn't go out and move and try to find a new place because I was so busy on deadlines, and before that was COVID, and we weren't vaccinated. Like, everything was really scary, and on top of that, it was like impossible to find an apartment. Anytime I found anything, it would be gone within the day, which was just the most frustrating. It's like, when I found this place, I immediately messaged them, ran over here, immediately was like, okay, where's the application? Let me give you the deposit. Come on, let's do this. Like, it was so hard to find an apartment. And for so long, I couldn't find one. This whole year was kind of like mourning the relationship over and over and over again. Like, usually when you break up, you separate. Neither of us had anywhere to go. I kept imagining like those episodes of the Vampire Diaries where they're kind of trapped in this purgatory where they can't move forward, but you can't go back to where you were before, and you have to relive the like overwhelming sadness of the end of the relationship over and over and over again. And we learned how to live together as friends, but that doesn't change the fact that like we loved each other, and it was just sad over and over and over again. That's been the majority of my year. And when I finally got this apartment, it was like breaking up again. Every time we took a step toward detangling our lives, it's like trying to take apart a friendship bracelet with like all the intricate different loops. Like, the hardest part about explaining this to like other people on the outside is that like there's no one big reason. It's Death by a Thousand Cuts and The One and Renegade and so many different Taylor Swift songs. When I heard time to go, I just bawled. When you love someone, you try everything to make it work, and it just wasn't working. I couldn't think because I was constantly anxious about so many different things having to do with the fact that like we're still in the same place. When I moved out and I was here alone, like my ability to like write just blew open. I couldn't concentrate on one thing for more than 20 minutes when we were going through this situation. I couldn't see how much it was affecting my brain space till that cloud had moved away and I could sit here and write for hours and hours and hours again. It was just night and day. Are you going to do a video vlog of your book 3 writing journey? Yes, I am. I'm very excited about it. I'm actually trying to finish up a different writing project right now. And then I'm diving into my first draft of book 3 and I'm going to be doing the vlog for that. I'm gonna start it probably mid-October and it's probably gonna be like NaNoWriMo-ish time where I'm going really hard, which is not a good time for me. As we just cover every year, I have trouble writing in November. So probably November, December, January is gonna be like big first draft cray writing time for book 3. And I will be vlogging it, don't worry. If Jamie and Siri were in the Twilight series, who would their love interest be? Okay, so Jamie and Siri are the leads from my new book, Better Together. I don't know, I feel like Jamie would end up going for, oh, it's so hard. I don't know, I feel like Jamie would talk to everyone. If Edward was interested in Jamie, Jamie would definitely love playing games with his heart. Like, she would enjoy the shit out of that, and Edward is persistent enough to like break through her walls because she has some big fucking walls. She lives like with a fortress around her. Jamie can get along with so many different people, it's really hard. I think Edward would end up being her love interest just because like she's pretty abrasive at first and you have to be like cool with that. I guess Emmett could probably break through her walls too. Rosalie's pretty fucking annoying. He loves her. Siri, I think, would have a huge crush on Alice. Alice would be her love interest. She's kind of like quiet in not a shy way, but quiet in like a aesthetic sort of way. You know what I'm saying? Like she's not loud and like over the top so much. She's over the top in like an aesthetically beautiful kind of way, but not like a loud kind of way. And that's like totally her thing. And she's so sweet and like so welcoming. Siri would love her. I mean, Jamie might honestly like enjoy Mike or Eric. Literally, I'd have to like write out all of their meet cutes and be like, see what they would say to each other, and then I'd be like, okay, this is the one that Jamie's gonna like the most, because it's all gonna depend on how they respond to her in the moment. How does it feel to be a booktuber and an author? Do you think your experience is any different because you also do booktube? My experience is definitely different because of booktube, but I feel like every author has their thing that makes their experience kind of different, like depending on how, like the journey that they took to get to authordom. Every journey has their thing, and my thing was booktube and just YouTube in general, how people like to put you in a box as like a character sort of personality. You see someone online for so long and you don't get to know them in real life, they start to become more of a thing than a person. You start to believe certain things about them without knowing the rest of them. Like you see one dimension and you don't see the rest of it. You start to believe like this is what they do and they can't do anything else. I mean, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying in general, like that's what we do as humans. We put people in these boxes and then when they try to step out of it, like, oh, or what are you doing? Like, you do this. And for me, that was booktube. So wait a minute, you make videos. You're not allowed to write. You can't write. What do you think you're doing? It's very confusing when it's coming from a place that used to be your safe space. Like, this used to be my safe space where I felt like I could talk about anything and be myself completely. But then it became a place where, like, I saw people saying sometimes cruel things about me that I couldn't be there for because my mental health would really suffer from it. It's very hard to be like, this is my safe space and like everyone here is nice. Like that was just in my brain. Like I didn't even realize how much I considered this space somewhere where I could just be happy and support people and they would be supportive back. And I had never been, I guess like I'm not a big enough YouTuber for that to ever have come back around full circle where I don't feel like people feel like I'm a person anymore until the book came out and people didn't want me to have a book and didn't want to support that in any way, shape, or form. Like, of course, there were so many people that were so supportive and were so wonderful, but it's always the negativity that hits you the hardest and really like gut punches you. So that was my big like mental hurdle. Like I can't come to YouTube as a place. I can't look at YouTube the same anymore. I'm sure every author has their own version of that. Like even just like every author has to have a social media presence, and I'm sure their relationship with social media drastically changed when they became an author. You have to kind of guard yourself in order to just keep your mental health in a place where you can work. I just had to like revisualize the way I look at my life and my job and YouTube and everything, and that took time and therapy, but I'm in a much healthier space now. Doing booktube and writing is like juggling 3 different jobs. At YouTube is just more than one job. You always have to like do Instagram and do Twitter and be your editor and be the script writer and be the camera person. Like you do lots of jobs. That's why YouTube is like this all-consuming job when you're doing it full time. All you do is like work on your next thing and then your next thing, because you also have to post consistently if that's gonna be your one thing. So I've had to really shift my mindset away from that hustle, because like that's all I ever thought about for so long, and give myself permission to like work on writing, because that's part of the reason why I started YouTubing in the first place, was that like I wanted to be able to use that as a platform for like creative endeavors, because I always wanted to do like make movies or write scripts or write a book. I wanted to write. This is a place where I was putting those projects. That popped into my mind so often in 2019 when people were like, you can't possibly write a book, like you have no skills for that. Why do you think you can do that? All you can do is sit in front of a camera and talk and be stupid. That sort of a thing always baffled me, because I've written a lot of YouTube sketches over the years, and that's like everyone's favorite thing that I do. It's like, well, I wrote those, I created those, like I've always wanted to write. There's like this disconnect like you've seen me write stuff, you've really enjoyed it, but you can't switch media. People telling you what you can and can't do is just so frustrating. So that was my hurdle. And trying to juggle them both right now, it's like I have to prioritize writing now over booktube. And I'm always gonna make videos, but like the frequency in which I can is going to change, and I have to just be okay with that. And that has been a huge life shift as well, because it like hurt, it like burned not to post every week for like the first year of not posting every week. I've come to accept that if I want to keep moving forward down this writing path, I have to make it a priority in my days. And I have to like give myself time off, or else you'll burn out. So I can't just like constantly be writing and trying to work on a YouTube video. I have to like take time to be a human. How do you feel your 30s are different from your 20s? I feel like I'm not far enough into my 30s to talk about that yet. It feels more solid so far. At the beginning of my 20s, it was like a constant existential crisis. From the ages of 20 to 23, constant existential crisis. Especially like 22 to 24, actually. It started to like level out around 25. It's like, oh, okay, I have an idea of where I'm going. I had an existential crisis going into my 30s, and I thought I knew where I was going, and now is like completely imploded. I thought all these different things about my future, and then like 2020 blew everything up, and now I feel like I'm just starting again in a way. What's new with the fam? I actually just made a Sibling Tag video. You can find out all about what's new with the fam if you watch Siblings the 5th. It's like 2 videos back. It was super fun. YouTube doesn't send my videos out to many subscribers anymore. Click that bell button if you want to make sure you don't miss any videos up in here, because they're not as regular anymore. I really appreciate that. And if you're not subscribed, really appreciate you subscribing. It just really helps me out when you like videos, when you comment on videos. It helps me out. Just like, I love seeing your comments, but it really does help my channel if you comment and you like, you subscribe, and you just like participate with the video. Thank you so much if you're already doing that. And if not, just like giving a like really helps. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, the Sibling Tag is up and you can find out all about what they're up to right now. An update from that Sibling Tag: Paul got a job, so I'm really proud of him. Now that writing is taking up more of your time and you're officially a published author, how do you picture your channel moving forward? I mean, I think I picture it like it is now. Like, when I want to make something and I have the time, I'm gonna make it, and I'm going to put out at least 1 video per month unless something happens that like is completely, you know, out of my control. But do you think you'll continue doing book talks? Like, I do book talks when I feel like I really need to and I really want to. So I'm gonna continue doing book talks for Cassie Clare Books, probably for Sarah J. Maas Books, and like any big book that I feel like is worth doing the talk, because enough people like want to hear me talk about it. You know, it's hard to do it for books that aren't as huge because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to make those book talks. Like, I will talk for 4 to 5 hours of filming, and then editing that is a lot, and then putting it up, and then like it's completely flopping. And meanwhile I have work that I'm being paid to do that I'm putting off for that video. It's really hard to justify it unless it has enough of an audience, or I feel like so passionate about it that I have to do it, you know? I've been thinking of like maybe trying to do like some TikTok form of book talk. Obviously it wouldn't be book talk, that would be like a TikTok review of some sorts that's much shorter. And even TikToks, you know, like I will spend the day editing it because I'm an editing crazy person where like I need it to be perfect. Editing perfectionist, that's the word, the proper word there. Just need to choose my projects wisely because I have like actual paid work with deadlines all the time now that I have to meet. Are you ever gonna finish Midnight Sun? Yes, I'm hoping to finish it this year. So I get that video out because I do have half a reading vlog from the first 400 pages from 2020. Is marriage and kids something in your future, or you don't want that? Marriage has always been something that I wanted, but this past year has just made me reevaluate like everything I thought I wanted. I'm open to all of that. At least right now, I'm not in a place where I want kids right now. But like, you know, it all depends. Like, it all depends. Like, I'm not closed off in either direction on anything right now. So I don't know. I don't know anymore. I am one of those people who always like, if I get married, like I know what kind of wedding I want. I want it to be like a grand show. I've gone to so many weddings. Like I know what songs I want. I know like I want this to be a routine and this to be a routine, and like I want to get married in that sense, but like I don't want to get married just to get married. I want to get married if I find the right person that I want to be married to. What Taylor Swift song would you use to describe this phase of your life? Oh god, that's a hard one. Happiness comes to mind. Are you engaged? No. How do you keep your mental and physical health good when life gets kind of overwhelming? I've just didn't realize how hard it was even going to be to start living by myself again, because I'd gotten so used to living with a person. And I lived by myself for 4.5 years before that. I loved it. And I moved in with John, got used to life with another person around, and then I moved back here, and it just, the emptiness of living alone for that first week had me in like a constant anxiety spiral. Anything would set me off into tears. I didn't even realize it. I was like, what's happening to me? And then it was because I was not used to being by myself all the time, and I always felt so lonely. After a week, I like readapted and it was fine. I still have these moments where I'm like, oh my god, I have no one to talk to, and like I'll call people and no one will pick up because everyone's busy, and I'll just feel really alone. But something that helps is listening to podcasts. When I'm anxious, that is my go-to. I pop on. I've been listening to John Green's Anthropocene Review, and I find that really soothing. I love listening to Dear Hank and John. I love listening to, Rob has a podcast, the Survivor Analysis. And anytime I'm just feeling the silence around me really hard, I turn on the podcast and listen to them talk about the different seasons, and it really has helped. And walks. I mean, now I'm forced to go on at least 2 walks a day, and my evening walk with Bellamy is an hour long, and those are so weirdly helpful. And my therapist had told me for so long last year to start going on walks before I had Bellamy. I didn't do it for a while, and then as soon as I did it, I noticed a huge difference in my anxiety levels. Like, it really helps. When life gets overwhelming, go for a walk and it will help. Can you maybe make some more funny content like before? I always found it hilarious. Well, I just put out some funny content. It's 400 pages long. It's called Better Together. You can pick it up at any of your local bookstores, or on Amazon, or on any website for your local bookstores. I also have this, Again But Better, is my first novel. I also just put out a TikTok. Like, it amazes me when people ask me to make funny content right after I'd made content. Like, right after I put out this new talking to my 18-year-old self thing, I get comments like, oh my god, I used to love your funny content. Why don't you make that anymore? It's like, I just fucking did. So, and I am doing it. It's just in a different form. Like, this is a comedy. There's so much content. And even like the Sibling Tag, like, I consider that comedy content. Like, I just put that up. Questions like that can be maddening because I'm doing my best over here, and like everything I do, I like to infuse comedy into. So if you're following me in any respect, like, there's comedy content somewhere. What has been the biggest change for you this year? I'd love to hear how you're doing. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff if you want to support my channel. or you can go get my books. These are ARC versions that I have right next to me here. They're both hardcover actually right now. Actually, this isn't softcover, it's just pink. Also really helpful, if you liked my books, to go review them on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. My name's Christine. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time for an apartment tour, hopefully. Goodbye!